What do you think of my little motorcycle stand? I think it looks pretty sweet. So it's super late. I think it's about 11. Yeah, it's 11:10. It's 11:10. It is the 13th, Sunday. I think we're just gonna go ahead and rip these shocks off. We're gonna install all the springs. So BBR makes a kit. Comes with these extended front springs. So these things are like significantly longer than the stock ones. We also got the longer dampening rods, which go in the front shocks. And then this here is the upgraded rear spring, which will go on the stock shock, but this just has a lot more of a compression rating, and it supports a lot more weight. So that way, adult guys can ride on it. All right, so looking at the steps, one of the big things is we're gonna need to break this loose before taking these shocks out of these clamps. We have to undo this clamp, we're gonna have to remove this little bracket here, and then we're gonna have to remove the, I don't know what the terminology is in the motorcycle world, but yeah, we're gonna have to go ahead and remove that bolt so that way we can remove both shocks. Once these are off the machine and on the table, it's actually pretty straightforward. The shocks on these are 10 times easier than the shocks on the like a Razor or something, especially since these ones don't get compressed with nitrogen. They're just oil filled. And it takes 5.5 milliliters. I'll have to check the paperwork, but I believe it's 5.5 milliliters of shock oil, fork oil. So I went ahead and I already broke this loose. This is 17. You want to break this loose because we got the clamps on here. So this is a 12, this is a 12, this is a 10, this is a 19, and a 14 on the other side. Boy, that's really on there. Anywho, so how's your weekend? How's your weekend going? So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and remove the front forks. Oh, just like that. Sweet. So, damn, that was fucking easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this over to the table, and I'm gonna get this other side off. Hey, real quick, I know I said like 5.5 milliliters of fluid. It's actually 5.5 ounces. So the steps inside the paperwork say 140 millimeters measuring from the top, but like all this other crap, just use 5.5 ounces if you're doing the CRF110. Other bikes call for different amounts, but 5.5 ounces for the CRF. All right, so it says to do this in a vise. I don't think it really needs to be done. I might eat my words. First things first, we're going to go ahead and take this top cap off. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You are going to have some fluid come out of here, so make sure you're checking for that. We got a spacer here. And should also have our spring down in there. Probably some other stuff in there too, though. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this out and try and catch anything that comes out. Okay, we got a washer that sits on top. We got the spring itself. All right, we here. So basically, all we're gonna do is just use this bar here to hopefully keep this thing from spinning. Probably easier said than done. Oh, see, that wasn't bad. There we go. A little bit of fluid. This to come out though. Okay. There's the spring. Okay, so now these are your dampening rods. And you can see how one is significantly longer than the other. We're going to take this little white clip and this spring, we're going to swap them over to these dampening rods. And yeah, I'm going to open the garage up for my lovely wife. She did awesome at poker tonight. Come on. Alright, so take that off. Put that on the new dampening rod. We could put our fluid in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna put the washer on top of the spring, and then I'm gonna put the spacer on top of the washer. We'll get our fluid put in here and then we'll tighten everything down. Alright, since we're going ahead and doing all of this off of the vise, a little trick to do, since you can't put fluid in this thing yet because you don't have this tightened, what we did was we left the spacer out, we put the cap on but only threaded it on part way, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn the shock upside down and we're going to place it on the floor and just put a little pressure on it so that way we can apply some pressure to this dampening rod, and then we're going to take our hex head and we're going to tighten it down. We can do is we can take this cap back off and we can get the fluid in, we can put the spacer in, we can put the cap back on and tighten everything down. We won't be able to tighten down the top of the shock cap until it's back in the bike though, simply because we need those clamps to hold this steady so that way we can tighten it down. Okay, now that we got everything torqued down, we're going to go ahead and move this plastic, the seat, and basically just expose everything for the rear shock so we can unbolt the 2 bolts for it, pull it out. Alright, so we went ahead, we pulled the side fairing off of both sides. It's just a few bolts here. Now the shock bolts, it's actually a 14 millimeter on one side and a 17 millimeter nut on the back side. You got one at the top, one at the bottom. We got this bad boy off. This thing's pretty easy to take apart. There's a little clip in here. You have to compress the shock just a little bit, pull the clip out, then this thing will fall all the way down here. Then you flip it over and you unscrew the eyelet right here off of this end. Once you get this eyelet off, the whole spring and everything else will come with it, and then you can put the new spring on. So let's get that done. So if you look here, this eyelet is actually going to be screwed on all the way, and then this bottom piece right here, this like makeshift bolt, this is going to tighten up against the bottom of the eyelet, just like so. All right, so we're going to take the eyelet off, and then we're going to take this this nut off as well. So we got that piece. We got our spring seat. Now it doesn't specify which way goes up or down, but here's a comparison of the 2 different springs. Okay. Now we're just going to go ahead and put our washer back on here. Take our jam nut, tighten that on, put your eyelet on there. Bam. So now that we got that on there, the next thing to do is to turn this back upside down, and we have to compress this spring enough to get this little clip in here. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. Not 100% sure yet. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to utilize these 2 little furniture clamps here. We'll go on one side, right? And then we'll take the other clamp and we'll go on to the other side. That way it's nice and even, because there's not a lot to grab onto with this thing. my screwdriver. Okay, I think we got it. She's seated in there. So now we'll just release the 2 clamps. Boom! Fellas, that worked. Super easy. So now we'll just go ahead, we'll get this thing seated back in there. Hell yeah. All right, so we went ahead, we tightened the rear shock spring. All that's taken care of. Now all we gotta do is put the plastics back on. Yo, what's up guys? How's it going? So we're gonna do a little cruise on this thing. Feel how these new springs feel. They definitely make some different noises than they used to, but you know, oh well. We'll see what it does, how it responds. See how it works. Definitely stiff. I can tell already right off the bat. Oh dude, it pops up so much easier. Oh, it's 10 times easier to pop up. I don't want to crash this damn thing. Get it sooner or later. I'll get it. It's probably been about 15 years since I've actually done a wheelie on a motorcycle. It's been a long time. So anyways guys, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think these springs are gonna be where it's at, not gonna lie. So we'll give these things a shot here another day once we can go out and test them on some jumps and stuff. And yeah, heck yeah guys, I'm not gonna lie, pretty excited. I really enjoy working on this thing. It's especially a new machine. Working on a new machine is primo. So there's that. Kids will still be able to ride it. It's barely higher in the front, like just by like an inch, maybe an inch and a half. The rear is the same height. It's just got a stiffer spring. So, but other than that, kids will be able to ride it. I'll be able to ride it. We'll be able to have a lot more fun, be able to thrash. Still waiting for the skid plate, but once that arrives, we'll do another little install video and I'll show you guys how to put that on. I appreciate you guys for watching this stuff. I know it's new and it's fresh and it's a little bit different than what we normally do over here on this page, but thanks again. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the supporters, all the contributors to this page, all the sponsors. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time.